Hello everyone and welcome to Sci-Fi Zone, where we celebrate science fiction movies and TV shows from the past, the present and the future. I'm here today with Claire and H, and we're coming to you from the wonderful comic book store of Alternate Worlds. This is a special episode today because we're only going to be discussing one topic, and it's this.
Doctor Who! Yay! The TARDIS! Doctor Who! Hey! The TARDIS! Doctor Who!
All right, enough of that. What can I say? That particular video was made in the 90s. The guy on the left happens to be the Facebook administrator for the Sci-Fi Zone Facebook page, and the guy on the right, well, let's just ignore him, shall we? So there you go. We're here to talk about Doctor Who. A lot of fans out there love the show, and I'm going to pass over to my panel of experts to talk about Docky Who. I can't help it. Sorry. It's a bit embarrassing. What can I say? Anyway, go for it. So, what do we got?
Well, we were going to be looking at New Who,
yes,
as they call it. I mean, original Who, classic Who, whichever you want to call it. 1963, 1989. Sylvester McCoy was the last of the original Doctors, and then everything sort of went on hiatus for a bit.
Quite some time, yes.
Well, there was an attempt to resurrect it in 1996, which is, they now call it Doctor Who the Movie, which is where they introduced Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. I think that was a combination between the BBC, Universal Studios and the Fox network at the time. Telemovie, meant to be a backdoor pilot, didn't really work.
No.
Doctor Who goes back into hibernation until 2005. Russell T Davies was the showrunner behind it at that point, and Christopher Eccleston was our new 9th Doctor. Continuation or reboot?
Oh, that's a contention.
Continuation.
We discussed this a couple of episodes ago as to whether it was considered a remake or not. Even I actually looked it up, and it actually said Series 1. I go, oh, that can't be right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Look, there's even alarms going. Can you hear sirens going off? Because people are just disagreeing with me completely.
No, I strongly think that it's a continuation because they do refer to things that have happened in the previous series.
Well, I mean, you've got the interesting thing that they do alter the backstory a bit, but it's within the content. It could be considered a soft reboot, but I agree, continuation, because the idea that there was the Time War, this big all-out battle between the Daleks and the Time Lords, and Gallifrey was destroyed.
And that battle may include the sounds of all those. So can you hear all those sirens? There's a battle going on outside at the moment. Anyway, continue. Just in case you're wondering what the noise is. So
what did you think of it?
Oh Lord, I loved it. That moment in the first episode with Christopher Eccleston where he grabs Rose's hand and says, run, with that look of glee on his face. I thought Christopher Eccleston was a really good choice to get this going again. Very, very different from previous Doctors, much more energetic, much more excited and boyish.
Complete with a northern accent and the excuse that every planet has a
north. Yes, which is true. Well, probably. I really liked it. I liked it stuck to a lot of the old sort of, I was going to say values, that's not quite the right word, but the stories and the way it worked, and the fact that he was just this person and nobody really knew who he was, but they all went along with him anyway. And I really, really liked it. I loved Christopher Eccleston. I was disappointed when he didn't carry on after the first season.
I mean, the new format was interesting. I mean, the old one used to be half an hour, 25 minutes, half an hour, and the cliffhanger.
Yes.
And then we're into the next episode. So you were telling stories over 4 to 6 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, the cliffhanger I thought it would have been nice to have brought it back. I mean, they did some two-parters, but that bit of always the freeze frame of the Doctor or the companion in trouble, and then we'll pick it up in the next episode. It would have been nice to bring back. But I agree, Eccleston was a good choice.
Definitely.
To bring things back.
Yeah.
So then, of course, we get the regeneration to David Tennant.
Yes.
And he brought a completely different energy to it.
He did. I wasn't sure about him at first. I guess partly because we'd had so little of Christopher Eccleston, and I really liked that. Then having that change so soon, I wasn't particularly comfortable with it, and because he was so different, which is quite reasonable under the circumstances. I just wasn't sure, and I didn't know anything about David Tennant. I didn't know what he'd be like as an actor. But very, very pleased with the result.
But the component of having the companion fall for the Doctor. Not something we'd ever really seen in the
No.
original
Very
series.
contentious, isn't it? Yes.
Not at all.
And almost Rose the lovesick puppy.
Yeah, almost, but
Almost.
not quite.
Not quite.
I liked that I think they balanced it quite well, actually. I think I liked that they didn't tip it over the edge. But it was interesting because, well, he's such a different Doctor. I don't think you would have had that in the past because the Doctors were all, well, mostly...
Elderly?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say older, but
Older.
yes, mostly they were older. So there was a little bit of a chance of that with Peter Davison, but I don't think it was ever really a possibility with any of the others. But with David Tennant, it was almost inevitable, I think. I couldn't see it not happening at all.
Well, now, would you say that's... We talked several weeks ago about differences in screenwriters between different ages. Do you think that sort of bringing in that more relationship, personal element is a sign of more post-millennial writing?
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it quite in those terms. But I think, I mean, just the fact that David Tennant is who he is, and he's, you know, he seems more contemporary age-wise than they have in the past. You know, if you get a female companion, there's likely to be, and it was a one-on-one sort of situation too.
Yes,
it wasn't a group
they
of
didn't go for the
companions
multiple companions at that point. Yeah.
So the fact that they were spending so much time, just the two of them, she was attractive, he was attractive, they got along, because the companions don't always get along with the Doctor. I think it was inevitable. I don't think it had to be Rose, and things were slightly different with Martha later on and the Doctor.
Martha more seemed to pine for the Doctor rather than there actually be a relationship there.
It was very much one way.
I mean, when the Doctor kisses Martha in, I think, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the first episode, and you're sort of going, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
But then they actually
But it
turned.
wasn't.
They turned it around quite nicely.
Yeah.
But the other dynamic that Russell T Davies introduced was using the companions' families.
Yes, which was new.
Which ran through all four seasons,
Yeah.
all four Russell T seasons.
Yeah.
And I think having the family as a different perspective as to what was going on was a very interesting choice.
Yeah, well, they're doing that still with the latest season. She goes home and the Doctor goes home and has dinner with Yaz's parents. Yaz's mum. Tea. I've never been home for tea before. Yeah. So I think they're going to continue that a little bit. And in fact, we've got a familial relationship among the companions. We've got that almost father-son set up, which is quite interesting. And it was potentially going to be mother-father-son.
Just make life more
Grandfather.
complicated.
No, it's grandfather, isn't it? Grandfather and son. So yeah, they're definitely bringing the family in a lot more than they used to.
Speaking of families, this is a good opportunity to have a cup of tea with your family. Do as doctors do, and we will be back with you straight after these messages. Don't go away, because there's more Doctor Who. Better get it right. Coming soon.
Alternate Worlds has been specialising in comics and collectibles for over 40 years, with a back issue collection of over 500,000 comics covering the golden age right through to latest releases, including signed and slabbed gems. They also have an enormous graphic novel collection, one of the largest ranges of manga in the country, as well as toys, statues and pops, and new items are arriving every Wednesday. Each month, Alternate Worlds hosts its own premium comic day, where all the rare treasures are put on display for inspection and purchase. The store also runs regular tournaments and competitions for both comic and gaming fans. And for local and interstate and international buyers, the Alternate Worlds website features their complete range of products, so whether you come in online or in store, visit them soon.
Thanks for sticking around, because we've got more Whovian action for you. Guys, what about the latest and the greatest? What's going on? Talk to us.
Of course, the biggest thing to happen in Doctor Who, possibly ever, is that the Doctor has changed from being male to being female. How did you feel about that?
Well, they'd given us hints up to this point of that being a possibility anyway.
Yeah.
I think the Matt Smith Doctor mentions a Time Lord called the Corsair, and there was mumbles about when he changed from he to she.
Yep.
Then, of course, we have Missy,
Yep.
which was all like, that worked so
It really
well.
did, didn't it?
I mean,
Yes.
particularly when she gets to have a pash with Peter Capaldi, and then you suddenly realise what's going on. It's sort of like, and I think they also did, in one of the latter Peter Capaldi episodes, one of the generals on Gallifrey is killed and regenerates into a female before her eyes. So they were priming us up to that point.
For a while.
And then, of course, we had the change of showrunner. So we went from Stephen Moffat to Chris Chibnall as the new showrunner, and they decided to change things up. Jodie Whittaker.
Great choice.
I mean, I'd loved her work with Chibnall before on Broadchurch, and of course she was in, as we've mentioned previously, Black Mirror.
Yes.
She's in one of the Black Mirror episodes earlier on. But what did you think of her season?
It had its ups and downs, and her introduction, I don't know, was a little bit, I don't know, it could have been a bit stronger, I think, perhaps. But I like the fact that she talks about how she's still changing. Because they've been taking longer and longer with the regeneration to kind of settle into their personalities, and she talks about how she's still her body even is still kind of working out where everything fits and how it all works and that kind of stuff, which is kind of interesting in itself. The whole thing about pockets is great because women always have problems with pockets. We never have enough pockets, and I don't know. She also drops hints of the fact that this isn't the first time she's been female. There are a few little comments. She talks about, it's a long time since I bought women's clothes, stuff like that, which I thought was quite interesting. I think the one thing that they have completely thrown out from the original, the classic series, is that limitation of the number of lives.
I think for Matt Smith to go to Peter Capaldi, they actually had to get the Time Lords to intervene to give him more regenerations. So I think they stuck with the 12 limit that then jiggled their continuity by this gotcha clause so that they could get out of it.
Okay. Because there was some stuff with River Song that I interpreted as her helping in that way too, kind of giving him extra.
She gave him regeneration energy. I think that was Kill Hitler.
That's right.
And that's the one where she gives up some of her regeneration energy to save Matt Smith.
Yeah.
But there's the crack in the wall through which apparently there's the link to Gallifrey, which we now know is being held in stasis somewhere, where they gift him with more regenerations.
Right.
I mean, the interesting bit, they did scoot over what was called the Valiard, which was a villain in the original series, which is meant to be a darker version of the Doctor between his 12th and 13th regeneration. There's like an evil version of him, which they've skipped over that.
Yeah, and there's the War Doctor as well.
There's the War Doctor.
So there are quite a few suggestions that perhaps we haven't actually seen all of the regenerations. That there have been a few in between that we've just missed.
The War Doctor I would have loved to have seen more of.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting
unfortunately,
concept.
John Hurt's now passed away, but I mean, even that one special length episode that they did, I mean, the War Doctor was just such a fascinating character.
Yeah.
And all of that trauma that then plays into Eccleston, Tennant, and Matt Smith.
Yeah.
You know, the way they sort of carried that on. Again, that's another modern storytelling technique, I think, is to bring in almost like a PTSD type thing, what happened to the Doctor at that point. But back to Jodie Whittaker. It's interesting, they've tried to go back to some original elements. So I mean, now we're getting the history stories. We had the Rosa Parks story, the Petition of India, which is actually, these are real histories and this is how we're going to fit ourselves in there. What changes we get to see for her second season will be interesting, because there's mumbles of some more classic villains making a bit of a comeback.
Okay.
Interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. I've gotten a little bit tired of reusing the classic villains, I've got to say. In the Daleks, I think they overdid it. I think bringing them back and having them in episodes was great, but I felt like they used it too much.
Well, then we don't mention the iPod Daleks either, from the new Paradigm Daleks. Oh, look, we've got these new flashy Daleks. Oh, nobody likes them. You're never going to see them again.
Yeah, they just disappeared. I don't know. I just felt like the Daleks were overused. And I'm the kind of person who, when I'm watching a show like this, I want to see something new. I want to see something I haven't seen before. And I think not so much now, not so much with Jodie Whittaker, but there were quite a few episodes in this new series that just kind of went back to the old enemies. I got a bit tired of that.
And Cybermen.
Yeah. I mean, great, bring them back and have a good story, but that's enough.
Their reintroduction was good with the two-parter in the parallel universe, but then I think it was a downhill spiral from there for the Cybermen.
No, I tend to agree with that. So, do you have a favourite episode from the new?
It will be Turn Left, which is the rueful fate of Donna Noble.
Yeah.
Her companion is my favourite
Yeah.
of all the modern companions.
Okay.
It is such a tragic story
Yep.
that they build her up, and then at the last minute, it's just devastating what they do with her.
Yeah.
But Turn Left, where you've got what would have happened if the Doctor was not around,
Yeah.
which Russell T has spun some of those ideas into his new series, Years and Years. But she wasn't pining for him, she wasn't in love with him, she was very much, I mean, oi, spaceman, keep your hands off me, I believe was the phrase that she used. But the journey that she takes is one of the best arcs for a companion.
Worth watching. Yeah.
Tell you what, it's a good journey to watch, but we're actually out of time, so we have to continue this journey some other time. How exciting is that? Oh, Doctor Who, it's absolutely fantastic. Maybe if they make a new TV series, it'll be called Doctor Who, The Regeneration. How good is that? So, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click on all the latest updates, news and views that are coming your way. Next week, we're actually going to be discussing what it would be like to go to Mars for real. How exciting is that? So in the interim, make sure you stay in the zone, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.